Ready?
I'm ready, baby. Hey, what's up, y'all? What's up? What's up? What's up?
Hey, that's loud, babe.
There you go again. You always talking about something that's loud. Can we just groove for a
You
second?
hear the bass?
Yeah, I like the bass. You got an issue with the bass?
It's just loud. Do y'all hear this? When
You
y'all
black,
come
right?
on, let us know.
You black, right?
What did I do with anything?
We like to feel the
Welcome.
bass. We like to feel the thumping and jumping and all of that good stuff. What's up, y'all? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, welcome to this live stream that we're doing right here. This right here
You can turn it down a little bit.
is my delectable, my
Oh.
incredible, my
Oh,
fantastic, and my sensational,
the fabulous
my
four.
divine, my sublime,
Okay,
my
well,
wife. You are my life.
oh, no. I think he was going somewhere. No. Hey, y'all. What's going on,
What's up,
everybody?
y'all?
Hey, So
This is
Yeni.
my
Hey,
queen. What's
Sharon.
up, y'all?
This is my amazing debonair husband. I know I always say debonair. I'm sorry.
You do.
It's just,
Always say the
you,
same
but
thing.
you are. But you are.
Always. Yeah.
And you are amazing. And you are beautiful. And you are wonderful.
I'm all
And you are sensitive and thoughtful and considerate and all of those amazing.
in there. All right, so we good. So our apologies, y'all, over here on YouTube. So we can go ahead and get rocking and rolling.
All right.
Yeah, we missed the DMV too, y'all. We missed the DMV too. We
Oh,
missed
but
around.
Maryland. Oh, look, I ordered some crabs from home, and them things are expensive as well when you order them. But let me tell you, we get as much of home as we can. Okay, so let's keep it moving.
Can I have some of your peach?
Yes, baby. It's not a peach though; it's a nectarine. So anyway,
I see. I tried to flirt, and then she just corrected me right there. Can I have some of your nectarine?
well, it's late. It's play now. Okay. All right, so here we go. So the first thing, y'all. Okay, Hawaii checking in. Hey, Hawaii. Oh my goodness. And South Florida's in the house. I feel y'all in these warm spots. Now we in a warm spot in California. So look, you're not ready to get married again. If you're joining us, we're talking about some indicators, some red flags, some things that will let you know you are not ready for marriage, or you're not ready for the marriage that you have if you find yourself dealing with some of these things.
Can I set the stage though?
Okay, I thought that's what I did, but okay.
You did, but you're a woman. So this is for the
Okay.
fellas.
All right.
So again, gentlemen,
And for the women,
you're
who,
not ready to get married. Yeah, we did the sisters last time.
I'm just saying, but the sister need to be paying attention to who you in relationship
This
with.
is a really good point. You do need to pay attention to who you're in a relationship with. And so the reason why this is absolutely critical is because in the work that we do as relationship coaches and therapists, we see a bunch of couples and individuals who come to us, and real talk, some people should not have been married in the first place. And that's just keeping it real. And so you're bumping up against each other, not to say that you won't have relationship problems and challenges as you exist and navigate your relationship, but some things you should have sidestepped a long time ago. You need to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And so in your relationship, these are some indicators that will let you know what type of dude you're dealing with. And fellas, you need to take an honest look at yourself, do some self-assessment, and see whether or not you're actually ready. And so we're going to run down this list and, again, look at yourself in the mirror and see whether or not you're ready to jump the broom.
You go first.
All right.
Let us pass it back to you.
You're not ready to get married if you define your primary family
Thank you for sharing, Claudia
as
and
you.
Jamie.
Yeah, please share. Please share. You define your primary family as you, your brother, your sister, your mommy and daddy, instead of you, your wife, and your future children.
Or your children.
Or your children.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you define your primary family as the family that you grew up with, and you're sidestepping and overlooking the family that you currently have in terms of your future wife and your children. That is a red flag, y'all. That's the significant issue. Again, what you want to recognize is that we as African people, we recognize the value and the significance of family, the importance of family would all have to contribute in terms of it being a just a circle that completes itself in terms of everybody doing their part and playing their role. And so again, mommy, she got value. Daddy, he got value. Your siblings, they got value as well. But when you make the decision, fellas, to ask your woman to be your wife, that thing needs to shift. She becomes first. Your children become first. And then everybody else becomes secondary.
Yes.
It ain't to say that you ain't got love for your parents. It ain't to say you ain't got love for your siblings. But again, you got to recognize where your priorities are. You're choosing a queen, so put her first. And let me just lift this point up too. Again, this is just setting the tone.
They struggle with that.
Yeah, they do. A lot of people struggle with it. A lot of dudes, you know.
So even like my mother,
my
mommy.
Yeah. And but check this out. I was listening as I'm going about like my daily runs and stuff. One of the people that come up often is E.T. And what E.T. talks about, Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher, one of the things that he says is that everybody wants to be a beast until it's time to do what beasts do. Again, everybody wants to be a beast until it's time to do what beasts do. Then you run, then you cower. And so, you look at my wife and I, you say, I want the relationship. You look at other people and you say, I want the relationship. I want the connection. I want the intimacy. I want the love. I want the children. I want the family. I want all of that type of stuff. And so you look at that and you say, I want it. But are you willing to put in the work? Are you willing to put in the work? And let me just lift up this point right here really quickly. When it comes to you being a man, when it comes to you being a king, in a lot of traditional African societies, the only way for you to become a king is through marriage. The only way for you to become a king is through marriage. And so peep the significance of that. So you may sit on the throne, but your queen, she stamps the throne.
Oh, my God.
She stamps it. And so again, you don't get to become king unless you got a queen. And you don't get to become king unless you are married. So for those people who are sitting on the fence and really question the legitimacy, the necessity of being married, we can look at our lineage and recognize that when it comes to men becoming kings, they had to get married in order to become a king. Wow. And so you need a queen by your side if you expect to be king. So kings, where are you? Rise up.
Just went to church.
I'm just saying.
Wow, that's good. That's good. And so, guys, for many folks, well, let me just say this really quickly. For Black folks, particularly and specifically, right? In our community, we honor our elders and we pay attention to our elders. And so it's hard sometimes when we have, whether it be meddling elders or well-meaning elders or what have you, whether it's your parents or people that you respect in your community, in your church, wherever it is, it's hard sometimes to know where should the line be drawn, or, I can't say anything to them. Like, what I'm going to say? Like, she came over and she ain't called, right? And she came to drop off something, and my wife said, can you tell her to not do that, right? Like, how do I deal with that? How do I address that, right? Those can be difficult conversations for anybody, but there are conversations that can be had. And as my husband has said, there are some things that separate and distinguish successful couples from unsuccessful couples, and successful husbands and husbands to be from unsuccessful ones. And they know when to step forward, how to do it delicately, diligently, but also to be vigilant with that thing. You understand? So we got to take the hard path and the hard route sometimes and have conversations that are uncomfortable, even though we know, yes, we do honor the greater extended family and our elders that come before us. Okay, so that was real good. So
I'm gonna have to rock with. Well, you can rock with. I mean, really. So
no,
this.
So
what I'm reading, y'all.
I'm what you be saying? You Jordan. Who be helping Jordan? Pippen. I'm Pippen tonight. Okay. So what's the and who? No, I'm not gonna say no more basketball stuff. But you lead. Just tap me in when you need me.
All right. So number 2, and this is from an article that I wrote on our website, blackloveandmarriage.com. So number 2, y'all. Fellas, you ain't ready to get married if. Now, fellas, I want y'all to lean in really closely on this one, because this is something that I think that you really need to internalize. You've been a player for 364 days of the year, and you think that marriage will miraculously make you monogamous. You ain't ready to get married if you've been a player for 364 days of the year and you think that marriage will miraculously make you monogamous. It just don't.
Because some of y'all know what he's talking about.
Yes.
Lord,
yes.
have mercy.
That's a fallacy in your thinking, y'all. The reality is that you arrive at a place in your relationship where you've been playing throughout the duration of your relationship, and engaging in frivolous activities, messing with other women, dating other women, engaging in intimacy with other women, and you've actually failed to fulfill the promise of completely leaning into your spouse. So what in the hell makes you think that once you say I do, you're going to be equipped, you're going to have the skills, you're going to serendipitously have the skills and the understanding of what it takes to actually lean in a little bit closer to your spouse? It don't work like that.
Okay, you ask the women that too? You're asking the fellas, why do they think?
Yes.
Why?
Yes. And I got to keep on. Yeah, that might be a soft spot. So you know your man. You know your man out here in these streets. You know your man got a side piece. You just discovered last week that your man got somebody else's number in their phone book, something that they've been talking to somebody on the side. And it's during COVID. It's during quarantine. And yet you still trying to get married. Why? Yeah. Why? Right. When he say I do, he's still going to be doing you, and he's going to be doing other people too. It don't work like that, y'all. Again, marriage isn't a light switch. It don't automatically make you shift into, I'm going to be fully committed. I'm going to be monogamous. No, because the reality is that there's certain intrinsic behaviors that you have, certain habits that you developed over time. And so a lot of times when people are cheating, it's a defense mechanism. It's a coping mechanism. It's their inability to completely lean in, and they're uncomfortable with intimacy. That doesn't disappear when he says, I do.
And so many people are in relationships. You're already married. You're already in that space. And you know, there's these red flags that just kept popping up along the way to really indicate to you that the level of commitment, the level of vulnerability, the level of ability that your partner had to really lean in and demonstrate the kind of commitment and faithfulness that you needed was not there. And yet we ignore and we ignore. So I always say to folks, whatever stands out to you, right? Like whatever resonates, like really hold on to that. You might be 20 years into marriage and somehow this is speaking to you. And at any point in time, you can just ask yourself, what is the lesson that I'm supposed to be learning? What is it that I keep ignoring? What is it that I need to master in terms of whether or not there needs to be some conversations that need to happen now, because this pattern is getting old, whatever that pattern might be, right? So I want you to pay attention to how this affects you, even though you may already be married and you may already be kind of down the road, right? You cannot ignore things, because whatever you resist, it persists. It persists. And whatever you look at,
it would disappear.
It disappears.
Yeah.
Oh my. So that was good. That's a good one.
All right, so that's number 2, y'all. That's number 2. And if you're getting some good value, again, you know, invite some folks to the group. Please share. I don't think y'all can share in the group, but on YouTube, please share the video. Please drop comments. You can't share in the group, boo. You can't share it with people outside the group.
Yeah, you gotta get the link. All you gotta do is copy the link. So it's not shareable because it's a closed group, right? Because we like to see who's coming in the group. We don't want everybody, anybody in the group, right? This is for us. All right, Claudia. She said, this is good, wholesome, honest conversation needs to be said. Amen. Thank you for that. But you can get the link. You can click on the 3 dots, copy link, and then place it on your page. All right.
Should a man know his woman's past history? I'm reading the question from over here on YouTube. Should a man know a woman's past history? And if you ask the question and she says it's none of your business, is that an issue? Well, if I ask you, who did you sleep with?
Somebody asked that on YouTube?
Yeah, somebody asked that on YouTube.
I'm not laughing at
if
you.
Your wife tells you her history is none of your business, is that an issue?
Wow.
Yeah.
What y'all think about that, ladies? It's none of your business. Don't worry about it. So
all right, let me go ahead and roll. I mean, yeah, that's problematic, y'all. I mean, that definitely is
problematic. But I also want to ask you how you coming.
How you coming? To what degree you asking questions?
How are you asking the question? Do you have judging kind of energy, right? How are you flowing? Because we know patriarchy exists in the world, and it exists in marriages a lot of times, and in relationships, right? Patriarchy. And so women have a right to, and I always encourage people to push back against that. Like, you know, there's some level of judgment that's coming, or some level of, do you measure up? Let me know about your history. Of course you should be able to know, but you should be able to inquire about that and engage in that conversation in a way that's balanced and that keeps everybody on an equal playing field, I guess, so to speak. So I would ask you, like, how you coming? Because if she told you none of your business, oh, I'm sorry. But if she told you none of your business, you might, I'm sorry, it just sound like something I would say. But I would have said it to you back in the day because I had issues, but I would never say that. You know all my business. You know all my history. You know everything. Yeah. But yeah, that's something you should.
I don't.
And yeah.
But again, you'll never know everything about your partner. That's one of the beauties about being in a relationship.
Yeah,
you get to learn and read a different page every single day. Because they expose another opportunity for you to come closer and closer and closer and more intimate with them. So, all right, so I'm gonna move on to number 3. So number 3, fellas, you're not ready to get married if you think that life after I do means 15% with your wife and 85% with your boys. 15% with your wife and 85% with your boys. Fellas, some of y'all are just playing.
hanging out.
I mean, y'all plan marriage. Y'all plan being in a significant relationship. And really, I mean, I can't fault you because a lot of times, just based off of statistically in our community, the majority of people aren't married. And that's just real talk. The majority of people aren't married. And so you don't have good examples. But if you just look at it from a numerical standpoint and how much time you're spending out here, if you're spending 85% of your time on that Xbox,
okay, you spend 75, 65.
On that PlayStation, playing Call of Duty. What are some of these other games? Warfare. I don't know what these games are. Fortnite. Yeah, I don't know what you're playing. But if you're spending all of this time connecting in with your boys, 85% with your boys and then 15% with your wife, well, let me flip that. Even if you're not spending 85% with your boys, but you're spending 85% in front of Sports Center, that's a problem, yo. Yeah, you got your priorities in the wrong place. Mm-hmm. Sports Center ain't making love to you.
Or in the basement while you upstairs, sis.
I know. What's Stephen A. Smith? Stephen A. Smith ain't giving you no booty. I mean, what? I mean, again, you spending all this time waxing poetic with them when you need to be leaning in, loving up on your wife. Cherie said they scared.
They're scared. But look, let me just say this. I just want to give this little nugget to the sisters. So I do want to say this, right? If you find that any of that resonates with you, that there's a pattern, maybe it's a COVID situation, right? It's an isolated situation. Maybe it's just the way y'all been, where y'all are not spending a lot of time, or you're finding yourself in your separate zones and that type of thing. If you find that that's going on, most insight, and whoever has the most insight is obligated to use it, because at any given time he has more insight than me, and at any given time I have more insight than him, and whoever has it, like, you got to reach out. So oftentimes we get into these patterns where we are not spending time, where we feel hurt, we feeling some type of way about it, you know what I mean, and we're in our feelings, but we're not willing to do anything different. You understand what I'm saying? We're not willing to come out of our comfort zone because we want him to come pursue us. So we mad because he's doing this, right? Like, you still have a right to be upset. You still have a right to be able to make your issues heard, but you can't make any issues heard if y'all stay in y'all two corners. You know what I mean? So pursue, even if it requires you to swallow your pride, right? And to go and say, hey, can we spend a little time? I want to talk to you, right? Mm-hmm. And you're going to do that in a way where he can receive it, right? That's a whole nother conversation, because sharing in a way that your partner can receive is a skill. And if you're not ready for it, then maybe you should write it down. That's just another little tidbit. Write a little note. Send it out. You could send it in a text, but writing is different. Okay, so I think that's important.
And do us a favor, y'all. So if you haven't invited some folks to the group and you think that you know some dudes and even some sisters who are in jacked up relationships that could benefit from this, please invite them to the group, and we'll let them in right now so they can hear the message that we dropping. All right, number 4, you're not ready to get married if you only want a missus. You're not ready to get married if you only want a missus. Thank you, sis. Thank you. And tell Kev I said what's up. Tell him I said what's up. So in this article I wrote, gentlemen, wake the hell up. In case you haven't noticed, women everywhere are getting their hustle on and demonstrating that they have been and always will be able to be more than just a wife. By no means am I minimizing the role of wife. I'm just saying, if you expect your woman to only be a missus till death do you part, you are in for a rude awakening, and you are not ready to get married.
What's a missus?
It's a wife. You know, you just want somebody to, and then a lot of times people just want that 1950s wife. You want the person that's going to have your slippers when you come through the front door. You want the person that's going to always have hot home-cooked meals ready for you. Mm-hmm. You want the person that's only going to tend to the children so you ain't got to be bothered. If all you want is a missus and you define her as such that I just now expressed, then yeah, you ain't ready to get married. Because these sisters today, they ain't having it. And you shouldn't be expecting it. We live in a different reality, and you want somebody to sit beside you, not behind you.
Mm-hmm. That's good. All right.
Do y'all think that anything has changed since you guys got married? That is the number one question I get once you are married.
Wow. Anything changed? A lot of stuff has changed, child. Mm-hmm. Whole lot of stuff has changed.
I mean, I'll say this, that I mean, just going back to the beginning. So we've been married for 18 years, together for 25. We go way back to high school in terms of being high school sweethearts. So it took me 7 years to propose to my wife. I proposed to her in Jamaica. And the way I did it, I think I did a video on this before, but the way I did it was I actually had locks at the time. And I cut one of my locks out of my hair. and she cut one of her locks out of her hair, and we actually had our lock. Why are you looking at me like that?
I like that.
We actually had our locks sewn into each other's hair, as a sign of engagement. And so, that was 7 years into our relationship, and I was slow rolling. I was pumping my brakes, and you said you don't agree?
Every time you say that, I'm just like, you were not slow rolling. We started out in high school. I'm about to marry you. I ain't know nothing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying that because we were together so young. Now, if we got together when we was 35.
That's probably a part of my orientation too, because when my father proposed to my mom, when they got married, she was 19.
19.
So it's not that I was
marrying
expecting...
nobody in 19. Where's your mama at? I wasn't marrying nobody in 19. It's not happening.
There's difference in generations. Yeah.
So I mean,
friendly high school, represent.
Yes.
So during that time period, y'all, during that 7-year window, so we had issues. We spoke about that on Black Love, this past Saturday. So if you haven't watched that episode, do that. Black Love on the Open Winfrey Network. And so there was a lot of infidelity, and one of the things that my wife said is that I called it infidelity. She didn't. She called it cheating.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And so I don't know, but I was heartbroken, and there was a lot of challenges, and she was heartbroken too. There was a lot of challenges that existed in our relationship, and so I was slow rolling. A part of me slow rolling was because we had been together for so long in my mind. Now check this out. Some of y'all might be in a relationship with a dude that thinks like this right now. Why we got to get married? It's the white man's institution. It's the white man's paper. I don't need them to stamp this. I don't need them to validate this. You already know that I love you. We connected. Mm-hmm. We bond up. We living together. We do everything together. We got joint bank accounts. We got all of this and all of that. And so, some of y'all might find yourselves in that space. And I was spitting that game to myself.
You were?
Yes, to myself, because I'm thinking from a certain Pan-African orientation that it's not necessary in this country for me to go through that process. But what I realized is that
our ancestors was finding a broom and putting it on the ground to figure out how to jump over, and
so I had to,
so they could solidify their bond.
And so I was so anti-establishment that I wasn't willing to take into consideration our historical experience and what we did to solidify our relationship and our bond. And so I was overlooking some things. I was selectively choosing what was important, basically. and what I realized after we went through the process of getting married, my life radically shifted.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I don't know if we answered the question yet.
I'm going to get into it. It shifted. And so it shifted in terms of my perception of self, how I viewed myself, my role and responsibility to not just me. I got out of my selfishness, and I recognized that there's somebody else that I'm responsible for, because we had our oldest son when we got married. We had Asante. And so before we got married, and I'm like, I'm solidifying this commitment in front of community.
7 months when we got married.
Yeah, in front of community. And so I got to step my game up. So it made me realize that this commitment is more solidified, it's more permanent, and I got a greater responsibility beyond myself. And that's what we as African people do. We recognize that we don't exist in isolation. We exist within a communal and a global context. All right, so that was a long answer, but let me move on to the next one.
Hey, Deidre. Okay.
Hey, what's up, sis? So the next one, number five. Ooh.
How you say? Ooh. You definitely wrote this. I ain't had nothing to do with this.
Ooh, number 5.
This is very for real.
This is real talk, y'all. This is real talk.
And women know. And they know.
Y'all know, man. Y'all know.
We counsel people who they knew that this went down and this happened. But the wedding was already together and planned and moving forward, right?
The wedding is planned.
And we can't.
You got your dress. You got your dress picked out.
And they would just.
You got the venue. The cake is ready. You got the guests coming. Fellas, you're not ready to get married if another woman's vajayjay is in your mouth or wrapped around your penis the day before the wedding. Do I need to repeat that? Fellas, you ain't ready to get married if clutch your pearls. If another woman's vajayjay is in your mouth or wrapped around your penis the day before you get married.
And not just the day before, so that's not literal, right? The week before, the month before, yes. all the way up until.
And I lift this up because it happens. Again, with therapists, with relationship coaches, it happens. And so we see it, we hear about it, and the reality is that if this is happening, it goes back to my other point. You can't be cheating for 364 days and think that marriage is going to make you monogamous. It don't work like that. Marriage ain't a magic pill. It's not a panacea. You got to do your work, bro. And sis, you got to open your eyes and stop being blinded by the wedding that you mistake was necessary in order for the marriage to work. If your man is doing this, you ain't ready to get married. And if you make the decision to go ahead and move forward with it, he ain't ready to get married. You ain't ready to get married. Y'all ain't ready to get married because y'all haven't done your work.
And there are many of folks who find themselves in a situation. You're already married, and you know the trappings of marriage, the look, what it looks like, what how it comes across to people in the community or outside of you, right? Like you all, you know, you're so cute together, right? When you're out in public and that kind of thing, and he's such a good, strong black man. You're a good, strong black woman, right? You all have your children or whatever, your home, and you go on trips and you all do different things, and so you know you start to create a sense of security because that's what marriage does afford you as well, a sense of security, not just emotionally and mentally when you're doing it right, but also physically, financially, concretely, like all of that stuff. When that's happening, we start to pay attention. I'm sorry, not pay attention to. We start to ignore patterns because it's a lot of folks. You know that it's a cheating husband somewhere. There's just like it's just some stuff that don't add up.
Mm-hmm.
It's some things that just don't add up. It just don't make sense. But you know, but the family reunion is this summer, and so we all going to the family reunion.
So we got to be together.
You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna make this work because I'm
I
not
need you
about
by
to
my
be
side.
stepping to the family reunion, let alone stepping anywhere else
Yeah.
without my crew, my kids, you know, my husband. And I'm not saying that to say that you should just be abandoning your relationship. What I am saying again, it's the same thing we said a little while ago, is that whatever you resist, it persists. When you act like you don't see stuff, or when you're kind of confused, and confusion is an illusion in and of itself. There really is no such thing as confusion. We all know exactly how we feel. We all know exactly what's going on, but it's easier off, doesn't require us to act or to say, hey, we need to go to counseling, or we need to get some coaching, or I need to make some decisions. But if you find that you know that there's some murkiness in the background of your marriage, my God, if there's some murkiness, you know what I'm saying? That's right, Davidra. The plane tickets are already purchased.
Yeah.
The plane tickets purchased. We got to go on a trip. So
Yeah.
I'm not about to lose my trip.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just pushed that. I'll be mad, and I won't talk to you for 2 weeks because I'm unsure about what's going on, or I think I'm unsure. But I'm not going to really address it. You have to pay attention to what's going on.
Let me ask
You
this
gotta put it
question.
out here.
So would you trade a afternoon of heaven for a lifetime of hell?
Oh Lord.
Would you trade an afternoon of heaven for a lifetime of hell? And so I'm asking that question because when you look at the wedding, a lot of sisters, they put a lot of energy, a lot of time and attention towards that experience, which is bliss, which is beautiful. It's like a heavenly experience. It's ordained by God, it's in front of the community, et cetera, et cetera. So would you trade a after?
Wow.
And so if you find yourself in that space where you're contemplating and you're on the fence, think about the rest of your life. And is it worth it? Is it worth it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so number six, y'all.
It's a good one right here.
Why don't you go ahead and read this?
It's a good one.
I like the provocative one, but you said that this is a good one. So
It is. So again, if you're just joining us, we're talking tonight about whether or not you are ready to be married, and some reasons why you may not be ready to get married. And also for the marriage that you have, that you're already in. So here we are, number 6. Nothing is ever up for discussion. Oh Lord, that's just a trigger. Just the back of my neck, the little hair stand up on my neck. Nothing is ever up for discussion. Meaning that for you as a man, because you are, I don't know, you are following, whatever you think you're supposed to be, or how you're supposed to show up as a man. You think that the opinions, the suggestions, the commentary, the input of your wife, your partner is not as important. You are condescending. You minimize. You really not here for listening to what she's saying and what she's giving. And there's a lot of sexism that rolls. I mean, we all suffer from it in some way. In some way, because we live in this society, in this culture. If you think that that's a way to operate in marriage, and then many women who, the way that we show up, we kind of are in agreement with it. We're in agreement. We kind of support that because we want him to lead, and we want him to, be the one who, takes care of things, and we're going to support and that kind of thing. And so, what we advocate for is a co-equal leadership in marriage, where you understand what your role is and you understand where your domains are. I know what my domains are in my marriage. I know where I cover. He knows what he covers and what he's responsible for. And we both know that regardless of where we're covering, regardless of what I'm responsible for and what he's responsible for, there's going to be some feedback along the way that he's going to probably give me at some point in time, and I'm going to give him. And we're going to be open for that. We have a process to be able to talk about it. And you know what? Because it's my domain, because it's his domain, we're going to talk about it. We're going to consider one another. And we genuinely do that, right? So that means we are able to accept influence from each other. But at the end of the day, if it's his domain, typically he's going to make that decision. But if it's my domain, guess what? Typically, I'm gonna make that decision. The reality is that it ain't no, it's my way or the highway stuff that's gonna work. So if this resonates with you, right? We're talking about this to men right now, but this goes for ladies too, because it's a lot of us bossy women. I'm just gonna have to just put it out there who just like this is what it is. We might not even say it like that, but that's what we really mean. And I know because I'm a living witness. Because I know in my mind, I'd be like, I know this is exactly what we're doing. And I'm just waiting for him to catch up. And that is not helpful, right? It's not helpful. So we have to be mindful for that. We have to check for that. Nothing is ever up for discussion. Nobody has the monopoly on perspective, my brother. Nobody has the monopoly on perspective. And whatever it is that your partner is bringing, particularly when it irritates and agitates you, it's exactly what you need. And it's exactly where you need to grow. It's exactly what you're supposed to be receiving 90% of the time. 90% of the time. So pay attention to that.
Yeah. Let me touch on that really quickly. Then I'm gonna answer a question that just came in on YouTube.
And you go ahead and I'll be
All
right
right.
back.
So earlier I spoke about the fact that you can't become a queen unless you get. I mean, you can't become a king unless you get married. So the pathway to kingship is through marriage, and I expounded on that a little bit earlier. But I do want to say this: that when my wife is my idol, truth, justice, righteousness, reciprocity, balance, order, and peace. And so one of those is balance. So what she's speaking about is balance. There needs to be balance in the relationship. And so when I spoke earlier about the fact that in order for a man in many traditional African societies to become a king, he had to be, while he may sit on the throne, it has to be stamped by his queen. It has to be stamped by a woman. He can't become king unless he gets married. And so what that means is this: there's balance in the society. Yes, he sits on the throne. Yes, she stamps it. But what does that mean? What that means is that there's a checks and balances when it comes to decisions that are being made. What that means is that, it's her bloodline, it's her lineage that actually endorses and stamps and legitimizes the throne. Let me repeat that. It's the queen's bloodline that legitimizes the seat that you sit on, king. And so again, you can't become king without your queen. You can't do it. And so you might want to be like making decisions and you might want to be swinging your balls and throwing them all over the place. But the reality is that from time immemorial, like from in times of antiquity, we had a system of balance that was in place where it was recognized that, you may be the king, but you got a whole system that sits with you, beside you, beneath you, above you, in front of you, that balances that thing out. So I don't want you to feel like, because we exist in this patriarchal society, that you can make all the decisions and that she just needs to shut up and get along and go with the program. No, it don't work like that. In order for any relationship to work, you got to make sure you're honoring your woman and making room for her. Not even making room because she actually holds space and makes room for herself, but that you're respecting the space that she exists in. That's what's most important. All right, so number 7, y'all. You believe, I said I was going to answer these 2 questions. What do you say about premarital cohabitation, shacking up? I mean, we did it. We did it. We were actually having a conversation the other day about that. Like, how do we?
We even do it on. That's how it be happening. You don't even do it on purpose.
Yeah, you
just
like
you like be over all the time and be like, you know what? I don't know when the last time you went home.
Yeah.
and then you got a drawer, like one drawer with some stuff. Then that drawer expands. I don't even know how that happened. But you had some thoughts you want to share on that, or you want me to share?
I mean, I think that. So I guess that would also apply to this whole piece around fornication. And what are my thoughts?
Anybody asked you to talk about fornication?
I mean, they didn't, but so essentially what it's saying is like, so you're testing the waters, testing the milk, before you purchase the cow. And I get the philosophy, and again, in our relationship, we did just that. We were living together.
Our parents was like, "Do y'all want to do something like get married?"
Yeah, what are y'all doing? Like, you know, my peoples. I was actually reflecting on this the other day because we got a child that's about to turn 19, and I was thinking to myself, like, so how do we end up like, you know, getting into the space to where we together and living together and all of that. And
We've
so
been taking forever to answer the question, though. Just
so
saying.
what? I mean, I'm
just
sure
saying.
they appreciate the
We answered the
value
question
of, like,
by going down
us telling
memory
the story.
lane.
Yeah, but you know what I'll say is that I think that in many situations, it really depends. It really depends on the relationship dynamic. So if you're in a relatively healthy relationship, I don't see a problem. I don't see a problem with it if you're in a healthy relationship. But many people, um, they're doing it out of convenience. So it's a situation where you find yourself like, I need a place to stay, and y'all are living together. That don't work. Like that doesn't work because it's not even so much about the relationship. It's just more so about it being a functional aspect of you all's existence. So I need a place to stay, and you're helping me to get on my feet. Like that's not where things like should be going. Like if you all are in a relationship, you're connected, you're committed, and there's some idea, even though it may be lofty and floating in the background, that you all are moving towards marriage or something like that. Then I mean, yeah, I'm okay with it.
So here's the thing. I will say this. I think real talk. You know, the research. Let me just share with you the research. The research says that we are the exception. We are part of the exception. So if any of you guys watching tonight, I'm trying to prove these people trying to get in, but I don't know where to go do it. You got it. So the research shows that when folks live together before marriage, that a great, I don't remember the exact percentage at this time, but a great number of those relationships do not last. They do not last. They do not last when folks are living together before marriage.
That's true.
So that's what the statistics show. At the same time, what I will say is this: a lot of times people are living together and they don't have a clear sense that they're moving towards marriage. They haven't gotten any counseling or coaching beforehand. Mm-hmm. So they are coming together and living together because they're like, why not? I love you too, okay. And then we're just going like live together, you know what I'm saying, and kind of play house. So those are two people who are not clear about what their intentions are and where they're going. And that makes for a very different kind of situation than two people who really do have a sense of, I love you, I want to be committed to you, and this is another step towards a closer commitment. So you know, I tell folks all the time, if you don't want to be a statistic, ain't no reason for you to play around and go live together. At the same time, we be real like we did, you know, and it did work for us, right? But we were very clear about our love and commitment and devotion to one another. And we also were in counseling regularly, right? Like not trying to figure it all out on our own. So you know, there are different reasons to pause on that and really pay attention to what your intentions are.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all also sharing and inviting people to join the group. We really appreciate that, y'all.
Okay, yes, we love it. We love it. Thank you. So we're gonna move on to the next thing. But somebody said, how do you feel about that? We just need to do a Q&A. We're gonna do Q&A on Thursday.
Nah, bro.
Why not?
Hey, because what our plan was.
We don't have no plan.
What about the Black Love?
What?
Like talking about the experience.
That wasn't the plan. I don't know. Maybe anyway. We can do Q&A. We can do Q&A and talk about being on Black Love on Thursday. I was trying to go with you, baby, but I was like, what the heck is she talking about? So on Thursday though, we will do some more Q&A. But somebody asked about opposite sex friendships. I'm not for that. Well, no. And that doesn't mean like my husband, whatever friends he has, whatever friends he has, opposite sex friendships in marriage. Somebody asked about that, and all I'm saying is I'm not for that. What I mean is that for you to have an exclusive friend outside of the relationship, you know, right? Like that's your friend, right? That creates problems. Okay, that got problems.
Yeah,
that creates problems. But we can talk more about that on Thursday because any friend of mine that was a friend of mine is a friend of his.
Yeah.
And then I actually fall back a little bit so they can become friends better, right? More. Mm-hmm. And then we all friends, right? And same thing for him. So
yo, YouTube just like.
Are you willing to shift? Are you willing to be committed to and respect the process of marriage and being in a relationship with a real person for your whole life?
Yes,
your whole life.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Hey, we apologize, YouTube. My I didn't have my device charged up, so we back on that.
But you had it plugged in, so what was the problem?
Yeah, I know what the issue was. It wasn't getting a good charge. All right, so we back, y'all. So we back. All right, so number eight.
We gotta be out because I want to go watch Blackish. Just saying.
Number 8. And Payne said, and we're back.
You already know how we go, sis.
Yeah.
You already know how he go. He be messing up all the time.
Really? It's gotta be on me.
I just put it on you.
All right. So Tisha Lavon said we burn sage and sandalwood blends all the time. That's what's up, sis.
Yes.
And Tisha Lavon said
to my
today.
self-care, honey. I gotta have my candle, my incense. You know.
Tisha Lavon made a comment saying something about like they've been together for 29 years, and they was living together before they got married.
There you go, Tisha Lavon, right? So I mean, so you part of us. We all the exception. I'm just saying the research say differently. However, I won't go off on a tangent. Never mind. Okay.
They've been married for 24. Yes. All right, so number 8, y'all.
Yes.
You're not ready to get married if.
Tisha Lavon, we should have y'all come on so we can interview y'all in the group. I know your hubby going like, shut up, Iana. But for real.
Did you see our workout video earlier where I was struggling to get through the workout?
In the group so that other people can hear from you guys too.
Yeah.
Wait. Okay, go ahead.
Number 8. You're not ready to get married if you believe that you will always be the priority.
Ooh, that one is.
You believe that you will always be the priority.
God.
So what I wrote is that if y'all have the fortune to be blessed with a child, please know that you're going to take the back seat to the baby for about a year. Don't worry, it's normal.
Kelly, what you said? Let me go back.
If you are unwilling to fall back and allow your wife to bond with your newborn, you're not ready to get married. This is a rough one, y'all. So if you're used to
it ain't even about kids, it's just life.
Yeah, intimacy and your wife, she develops an interest in something and she starts to lean in, then you're gonna feel like, yo, what about me? You're gonna start to feel neglected, possibly. And if that's the case, and you're unable to deal with that, unable to manage and regulate yourself emotionally, or at least unable to recognize that this is the space that she's in, then you might want to take a look at the fact, like, am I really ready to get married? Because throughout the duration of your marriage, you're going to experience a number of different things that are going to possibly put you on the back burner. Not to say you're not constantly. So my wife, she on joke time. This is why. This is why, y'all. This is why she on joke time. I'm trying to make my point.
No, you said we're not ready to get married. Okay, keep going. Kelly, I didn't see your I didn't see what I saw some comments, but I'm paying attention, I'm watching. But I didn't know if you had a question or something. I wanted to make sure we addressed
it. So for YouTube, number 7 was
okay, Tisha Lavon, for real, we're gonna reach out to y'all.
See, I don't understand why this Jonas said.
Well, stop talking about YouTube. Okay,
they say what was number 7? This is what number 7 was.
Oh, sorry, YouTube.
Yeah, number 7 was you're not ready to get married if you believe that the woman you're marrying today is the woman you're going to be spending your life with tomorrow.
People change.
Yeah, so essentially people change.
Mm-hmm.
So you click that right there, member requests. Okay. All right, so that was number 8, y'all. You got to make room for your spouse. You aren't always going to be the priority. You got to make room for the fact that, again, she's going to have other interests, especially if a child comes into play. And this actually leads me to number 9.
But hold on.
Okay.
2 well-developed individuals, which that I wasn't well-developed and neither was he, and most of us ain't, okay? so 2 well-developed individuals know what they're supposed to get from their partner and what they're supposed to get from themselves. So we're growing continually into that, and that should be your goal, that you understand what it is that you need to get from yourself, create for yourself, and what you should be getting from your spouse. And what I mean by that is that oftentimes we're looking to our spouse, we're leaning on them for so much, for validation, for affirmation, for feeling okay, for being seen, so much, and we don't take any responsibility for our own happiness. We won't take any responsibility. I'm not going to say no responsibility, but we put a lot on them, whether it's, woman to man or man to woman. And the reality is that if you recognize that y'all are both going to be changing and evolving, then you know that there's some places in your personal makeup that just need to be developed. You need to get your own interests, have your own preferences. You need to be able to go do some things on your own, have your own passions, be able to tell your own self that you're good enough. Your partner is not going to understand what the hell you're talking about. Half the time I'm talking to Ayize, and I know when he's not really like, he like, yeah. And then sometimes you did this earlier. You like try to make it seem like you like, it's like a fake me out. It's like a fake me out, like he's doing something else and he's kind of listening. He's like, and he's like, yeah, and then he goes on. I'm like, that was fake as hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that you're not really with me, right? But I know enough about who I am and what I can give myself. I create spaces in my life. You remember doing that earlier?
What was I doing?
The kids was talking to you. They butted in, right? And like you always do, you just start paying attention to them, and you like look like, yeah. And then you went back on. I was like, that was fake. But it doesn't matter because I have spaces where I can go. My point is, I have practices, I have rituals, I have things that I do to take care of myself. Whether I'm taking a bath and listening to TD Jakes, or I'm burning some incense and writing in my journal, or I am, in my sister circle sharing and listening to other women. I'm not just trying to get everything from him. In terms of how I feel about myself in this relationship and how I feel about myself in my life. So I think that's important to remember.
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. It is. And
wait, so, this is taking a long time. What's
number 9? Number 9, y'all.
Okay, we about to be done, y'all.
Number 9, you're not ready to get married if you demand sex to be on demand. I mean, I think that speaks for itself, really. I mean, so me as a guy, I recognize
you'll
that
be rudely awakened.
Yeah, it don't come as plentiful as you would like for it to be at different points in your relationship. Now, what I would say is that I'm very happily satisfied, very pleased.
You probably say you want a little bit more. You probably want a little more.
I don't know. I mean, as I get older, I mean, maybe a little bit more, but trust and believe, I'm not like thirsty.
I know you ain't thirsty because I don't allow for that. But I'm just saying, I know you could want it more, right? And that's just that's one of the realities sometimes that you can get into those places in your marriage.
Yeah, and so if you think that it's going to be on demand whenever you demand it, that's not happening. So marriage don't work like that. If you're in a relationship with somebody, you got to recognize that, again, y'all are dealing with different libidos, different interests, different desires, different cycles, different times, all of that type of stuff, different responsibilities. And so what I have learned is that, if I ease my wife's plate, if I lift some of the responsibilities that exist on that, then what that does is she helps me to release and relieve some of my stress through the experience of sex. And so, again, it don't happen like you scratch my hand, I scratch yours every single time, but it's important to recognize that you got to make room for your wife, for your spouse to experience life as she does. And even though you might try to, woo her, you might try to engage her in a particular way, she ain't gonna always want it. And it's okay. It's okay if she don't always want it. Trust and believe, fellas. Fellas who are watching, you will get to a point in your life where sex ain't always on your mind. It ain't always on your mind. It's not. And so, what did Akina say?
I don't know. Stay focused.
I'm sorry. I got distracted by it. So this is what my wife is talking about. So our children will come up to us and say something, and it will interrupt like what I'm doing with her.
I have the golden ability. I don't care what they saying to me. I tune out. I have 5 kids. I can tune them out like ain't nothing being said. Okay. Mm-hmm. He on the other hand, he want to go and talk. I'm like, I'm talking to you. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So again, fellas, you want to make sure that you're making room for your wife. You're actually honoring and respecting the space that she exists in. Again, she creates her own room. And when it comes to this whole sex piece, she ain't gonna always want it. So if you're demanding that sex be on demand all the time, you're gonna be in for a rude awakening. Make sure you pace yourself, and what I would say is that store up some of your stuff in reserves, because later on in life you're gonna need it. You're gonna need it. A lot of the older men, they know what I'm talking about. And I'm not even that old, but I'm just saying that things change. Things change, and 43. All of that type of stuff. So. All right.
Okay, guys. So the last one. If you're just joining us,
LeVon said Jermaine does not believe it. He always wants it. And so Jermaine, if Jermaine is watching, I would say it's in my mind, and it may be in your man's mind.
He always wanted to.
But it's not like, I mean, yeah, it's not like it was when I was in my 20s.
Well, I can't tell. You still be wanting it, and then had the nerve to get an attitude.
So I'm gonna go ahead and pop my collar when she say I can't tell, because that actually makes me feel good.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, you still get an attitude sometimes. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But it just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I know that for myself personally, that I don't always remember when the last time is we have done something, but I try to make sure I'm mindful about it, because I know like, we can't get into a place where it's getting to be too dry, too parched out this joint in the sex life. It's just dry. And so you want to pay attention to that. And sometimes my husband will be like, don't let it be this long again. You say that to me sometimes? Don't let it be. And when I say let it be this long, I mean, you might be going for like maybe a couple of weeks, 2 weeks. Let's be honest, 2.5 weeks. Has it been 3 weeks?
No.
So like 2.5 weeks. And then he like, don't let it
I
take
mean,
this
2 weeks
long.
is too long.
It
For
is,
me.
but I know that
That's
we've
way too
gone
long.
there, and it's been something that we had to really pay attention to. He'd be like two, and we know that the average couple has sex 1 to 2 times a week, right? So that means that at least on average about 4 times a month. So
Four to eight times
I
per
said
month.
you always say that.
I want to
I
look
don't
that
be
up.
on that high number. I'm just saying. So, but
I be on
at
the
a
high number.
minimum, 4 times,
I be on
and
the high number.
I would say 3 to 4 times a month because you might just skip a week. You know what I'm saying? 3 to 4 times a month.
That's not satisfactory.
But it's just one time off. Okay.
No, it's not.
But at the end of the day, I think that we need to recognize that it's really about making sure that we make room for the other person.
I feel you,
and we
Jermaine.
don't personalize some of the disconnects that can happen sometimes in sex. Okay.
Yeah, so
Number 10.
So the short of the story is, let me park on that point just for one quick second.
What you
Sisters,
just
if
now
you
parking? We've been parking.
Sisters, if you ain't doing it, do it more.
It's supposed to be for the fellas. And it's supposed to be for the guys.
I just had to flip it.
And the fella's supposed to know you ain't gonna get no sex on demand, right?
Yeah,
you gotta learn the art of the woo. And woo means that you need to woo your partner, right? And remember the things that you did early on to create the type of environment that sex will happen in. And women know that you ain't gonna always get it like that, but that should be the goal.
All right, so we at number 10, y'all. We are at the last one.
I got it.
So number 10, fellas, you're not ready to get married if you don't want to experience the most rewarding feeling you've ever felt before, which is love. So again, being in a relationship with my wife for 25 years, I've seen the mountains, I've seen the valleys, I've seen the crevices, I've seen the creases, the cracks, the corridors, I've seen all of that. And what I will say is that marriage has offered me a unique opportunity to experience myself, through you, in the intimacy of getting to know you as another person, just so much more. And
Definitely.
so it's opened me up, and I've been blessed. I've been blessed
too.
to experience my wife in a whole other way, on a whole other level. And trust and believe, like, you might be afraid, you might be scared, you might be, like, I don't know about this, but if you lean into it, fellas, it will be rewarding. If you lean into it and go through the process, we lift up 3 C's all the time: commitment, connection, and courage. You got to be committed to your woman. Be committed. You got to connect with your woman. Stop connecting with the remote. Stop connecting with your cell phone. Stop connecting with the Xbox and the PlayStation. Connect with her. Connect with her. And you got to have courage, y'all. You got to have the courage to do your work, to look within yourself and recognize what your deficiencies are, what your strengths are, and the areas that you need to grow. When you do those things, then again, you can experience the type of love that we got and the type of love that Tisha, LaVon, and Jermaine got. Being
and then they got, I'm
years
sure they all got.
Yeah,
good
so again,
Keely, I don't see
sure
no. I'm looking, girl. I don't see no. I see all you and Angela talking on here about the daggone comment, but I don't see no question. I don't see no.
What was the comment? They could drop the comment again.
Yeah, did you drop it again? Because I don't see it. I'm going back up and down. I don't see it.
So we hope that this has been helpful, y'all. It's really important that you recognize and you do self-assessments on a regular basis. See where you at. See where you at. See where you are. Where you stand in terms of your place in your relationship, and just your place within yourself. You need to recognize like what your strengths are, what your vulnerabilities are. You need to work on those vulnerabilities. In order for you to go to the next level, you got to be intentional about what you do with you, and you got to make sure you're doing your work. What's so funny?
Tisha LaVon says she will never forget when I said in the video that your woo is broke. I'm scrolling up, Keely. I'm scrolling up. Yeah, you gotta have a woo, my brothers. You gotta have a woo and put some woo on your wife when all else fails.
Put some woo on
I
your wife.
want somebody to walk up behind me and kiss me on my neck. Let me see. I'm scrolling like a mug. You're gonna have to come back and do your question individually.
She forgot.
No, boo. What you talking about?
All right, we had a question. All right, so if there are no other questions,
We don't see it.
and y'all, we're gonna be coming through with a
I
communication
don't see it.
challenge really shortly. So a lot of you have expressed issues around the area of communication in your relationship,
I'm
and so we're
looking.
gonna be dropping a link for y'all to sign up for our communication challenge. Please make sure you sign up when you see the link. This is gonna be on and popping, y'all. We're gonna be pushing y'all to connect and communicate a lot better in your relationship, and so be on the lookout for that. My wife is still scrolling. She don't see whatever comment she's looking for.
That's all right, sis. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it.
All right, y'all. If there are
I mean,
no
not
other
tonight, but we'll get
questions,
to it.
no other concerns, we're about to sign out. Thank y'all for taking the time to rock with us. We will be back on Thursday. I'm giving y'all some more relationship insights, some
And
tips,
Q&A,
and tools.
Q&A. So
Q&A. And
just message us. You can go to. We'll put the link in. You can go to.
you're gonna put the link. I'm not gonna put the link in.
No, can you do it?
No.
It's blackloveandmarriage.com/anonymous question. Okay, so you can go and put your questions in there because on Thursday, what are you doing? Because on Thursday, well, you about to get us up out the live. I
Oh, my bad.
knew you did it. Yeah, on Thursday we're gonna do Q&A, just free flow. Let's just free flow Q&A. But if you don't want to put your your question in the live, then you can send it to us at blackloveandmarriage.com/anonymous question. No S. Okay, and we'll drop that link. So that we'll collect them before Thursday.
Invite some more people to the group.
And
Hey,
we'll
YouTube,
talk.
come on over and join the group. Join the group on Facebook. It's Black Love and Marriage with the
Really nice.
Ayiza and Yanamai.
Y'all not gonna know how to spell that anyway, so just look for Black Love and Marriage. All right, guys. Until next time, we will see you. Stop playing and start pushing. Peace.